These 8 people answered the call and let us know about these horribly dangerous drivers. And finally, there's Henrietta, who gets so nervous in traffic she becomes physically ill. She was nominated as Canada's worst driver by her husband, Andy.
When only 3 students remain, they will go head to head in our ultimate road test. And when they reach the checkered flag, someone will be crowned Canada's worst driver.
To begin their evaluation, we're asking them to navigate their way to the Driver Rehabilitation Centre, which this year is bunkered down within the walls of Canadian Forces Base Borden, Ontario.
These sheets are going to tell you the exact route we want you to take to get to the Driver Rehabilitation Centre.
To make sure they don't get lost, we're providing maps and written directions detailing the entire 40-kilometre route. From Wasaga Beach, it should be almost an hour-long drive to CFB Borden. It's a staggered start, and Henrietta leaves first.
You can fire up your machine if you want.
By the time everyone is on the road, Henrietta's getting queasy.
Oh, I'm so nervous. My stomach is just rolling.
Here's how it's going so far, and Henrietta's still feeling nauseous.
We'll never find our way. I'm discouraged already.
Henrietta should follow her gut and turn around.
Hope we turn the right way, because there's not too many roads up here, is there?
I'm going this way anyway. I'm the pilot.
Henrietta wants driving rehabilitation to combat her anxiety.
My main issue with driving is that I'm very nervous and I find it very hard to relax.
She doesn't relax. She takes too much time.
I'll be here all day.
Could be here for a week. For Henrietta to change lanes in heavy traffic, it probably takes about 10 times as long as it would other drivers.
Did that car go by yet? Let me in?
Check your mirrors.
He's not gonna let me in. Does he let me in? Geez, I'm gonna get in an accident here.
At home near Ottawa, Henrietta laughs her way through life. But on the road, there is nothing but stress.
Oh, God, my stomach has just got a knot. I'm feeling like I'm gonna vomit, Andy.
She may lack confidence, but Henrietta has rage to spare.
When Henrietta's driving, somebody happens to cut her off or pull out in front of her real, finger comes up, you son of a...
What's wrong with that truck? Why isn't it going? Keep going, asshole. If I have to move over, I don't care. I have to change lanes. There's no way I can change lanes here.
Today, Henrietta's nervous she'll never find the rehab center.
This is ridiculous.
When Colin turns onto the gravel road,
This is not cool for my paint job.
he sees a car up ahead. When he realizes it's Henrietta,
Is that them? Oh, dude, that is them.
Colin can't wait to prove his machismo by passing the nervous grandmother.
Yeah, snake them.
Knowing Colin is behind her
It is him too, by God.
makes Henrietta more nervous, and that makes her even slower.
Come on, turn. Oh my God, go. I'm growing a beard here. Not this one, not this one. Oh my God.
Oh, a fool. Fool. I thought you were supposed to watch the speed limit.
Next on the runway is Henrietta and Karen. Henrietta's parking leaves a little to be desired, but she's in.
Thank you.
Karen and Henrietta both blame their poor performances on their husbands.
Oh, that's it. The navigator was terrible.
Well, that and the red car that flew past us at a high rate of speed on a dirt road.
Now it's time to complete their episode 1 evaluation by seeing how well they can handle precise steering under stressful circumstances. To answer a question I'm sure that one of our students will have, no, they're not allowed to hit anything. Let's go camping. The first part of this course leads the driver through stacks of old rims and hubs. Some tight turning, but quite doable. One thing is for certain, I refuse to scratch this gorgeous car. We leave the hallway of hubs and enter a hallway of cars. More precision steering
just a different look. There's only inches to spare on both sides of this vehicle, but inches is all you need. Ooh-wee, that's tight.
Then over some runners and into this tunnel.
When they come through the tunnel, their instruction is to get the machine up to 50 kilometers an hour on this straightaway.
Then they have to slow down and look at these two tunnels. The tunnel on the left is too low for the roof cargo.
The one on the right is high enough just for me and the bicycle to get through. Coming up to the end, it's just a simple turn, and then when you get it lined up, you can back it straight into the parking garage, which is a little bit too short. So they're going to have to pull up before the canoe goes through the back wall. Bingo, I'm in. Now, let's see how Canada's worst drivers do.
Henrietta's next to drive the course. Unlike Colin, Henrietta's trying to miss things. However, her result is pretty much the same as his, except with more yelling.
Did I do that to the car? Oh my God.
Henrietta hit 22 things, and she blames her bad drive on us.
You had it too narrow.
When Henrietta got her driver's license as a young Prince Edward Islander, the guy adjudicating the test drove the hard parts for her.
I can't do this.
Since then, she's never learned to control a vehicle.
Oops.
And she's never enjoyed driving.
Discouraged already.
The next challenge for our hapless candidates
Crank it.
will be parallel parking. Out of sheer pity, our head instructor, Scott Marshall, spends the morning giving refresher lessons.
Your back bumpers have lined up.
Step 1, get bumper to bumper with the car you're going to park behind. Step 2, turn your wheel all the way to the curb and reverse. Step 3, turn the wheel away from the curb and continue reversing.
Straighten your wheels while you move forward. While you move forward. There you go. There's your parallel park. And these techniques can be used in any vehicle. Agreed?
Yes.
Good thing they agree, because this is what they'll be parallel parking. I've never parallel parked one of these bad boys before, so let's see just how difficult it really is.
Crucial part of this test is using your mirrors. Both of them.
Today's pollen storm is nothing to sneeze at. Neither is this challenge. The nominees have to reverse our mobile home uphill, then pull it snugly in between a Cadillac and a BMW.
And that, my friends, is how you parallel park a Winnebago on a steep hill. Now let's see how Canada's worst drivers do.
Henrietta's next to park the monster. When Henrietta's ready to go, she puts the RV in reverse, lets off on the brake, and rolls forward.
It's going ahead.
So she inexplicably tries starting the engine again.
It's going.
Oh, the poor starting motor.
Okay, take a deep breath. I gotta take a deep breath.
Oh, and smack.
Oh. What the am I doing wrong? Ah! Cans went flying over.
Henrietta tells us her eyes are fine, but it doesn't look like that's true.
Is there anyone on the road?
People often say, you know, Andrew, those people on the show, are they really that bad?
Oh my.
Believe me, this woman isn't faking.
Oh! Oh, am I running over somebody? Jeepers. Ah! I can't do this.
After 14 minutes, Henrietta is finally in parking position, but she backs into a pylon, then takes aim at my BMW.
And I'm about to get free.
It's about $4,000 to that poor BMW.
I think that was his car.
Henrietta pulls away, oblivious to the damage she's caused. Then she lines me up for a head-on collision.
Oh, this is gonna hurt. This is gonna hurt. Brace yourself.
On her next attempt,
I'm gonna do this time.
Henrietta knocks her jewelry loose.
Oh, jeepers, my earring fell up.
At least Henrietta is planning her assaults.
Now I'm gonna hit that car when I take my foot off the brake.
When Henrietta finally finishes,
There, I'm parked.
we learned it took her entire life to even try parallel parking.
I never did. Never had to. I don't back up.
Too many Canadian motorists casually drift back and forth across the yellow line. This next challenge should drive home the point that leaving your lane has serious consequences. Now, I would like to say that all of our students will make it through this challenge unscathed, but I'm not holding my breath. We call the challenge Threading the Eye of the Needle.
The first run through is at 30 kilometers an hour. Then they have to barrel through going at a minimum of 60 kilometers an hour, which is what I'm doing right now. Now, our head instructor, Scott Marshall, says to ace this test, our students should look far ahead and they have to keep their hands evenly spaced on the wheel. Woo! Anybody who doesn't make it through the eye of the needle will be very glad they weren't in a real tunnel. Let's see how Canada's worst drivers do.
To make sure our students stick to the speed limits, Sergeant Cam Woolley is manning the radar gun. The final driver is Henrietta. Entering the archways, Henrietta slows down to a crawl.
Got right down to 19.
It's as if she can't see where she's going.
Oh my God, the kids will think I'm retarded.
On her second try, Henrietta maintains 30 kilometers an hour, but I've heard a lot of excuses for bad driving, but I've never heard this.
My eyes are all foggy.
I'm pretty sure Henrietta needs glasses. Driving at 60k an hour, Henrietta doesn't look like she has good enough vision to even be on the road.
I can't do this.
74.
I can't do this.
Henrietta can't hide. We're booking her an eye appointment. Jared Postons has come to rehab.
And I want you to read the numbers that I point to.
To see if Henrietta and our other students are fit to drive.
Good.
Most of the class are perfectly good to go.
Good.
But Henrietta has bad reaction time.
Okay.
She can't see over her right shoulder.
And that's about 75 degrees.
She has only 50% peripheral vision in her right eye.
Normal is about 90 degrees. Well, it's going to be hard for you to see things on the right-hand side of your car.
And even if she could see sideways, it would all be blurry.
I told you I need my glasses.
You read this line for me?
Oh, I can't make it out, honestly.
Henrietta's vision is 20/100. That means what she can see from 20 meters, most people can see from 100. She should not be on the road without glasses.
I don't know, I can't read it.
I can't read it.
You can't even see the signs until you get up on them.
The next challenge for Canada's worst drivers is to navigate their way through a figure-8 course in reverse while another bad driver is doing the exact same thing in the opposite direction. Pulling out, they'll back through a narrow hallway of rims and cars.
To get through cleanly, drivers will have to frequently stop and reposition.
Then they'll get to the far end of the 8 where there's just enough room for both cars to pass if they're careful. Ooh, I gotta go forward a little bit.
From there, it's time to head home.
If both cars are the same speed, they'll meet at the middle of the 8 where only one machine can get through at a time. This is where it's gonna pay to be courteous.
Chris in the yellow car is courteous and allows me to go.
For myself and Chris back there, yes, running this course. How long, Ron?
3 minutes and 46 seconds.
3 minutes and 46 seconds, and we didn't hit a single thing. Now let's see how Canada's worst drivers do.
While Karen and Henrietta reverse the Crazy 8, their husbands will count collisions.
And are you ready? Go!
Go forward then. 1, 2, 3.
Balls.
3, 5, 6, 7. 7. Okay. 9, 11, 12.
By Jesus, I'm not going to knock them all over today.
13, 14, 15.
It's hard to have sympathy for this shockingly bad driving.
Put the friggin' thing in drive and go out there.
But it does seem that some of the blame
Pull forward.
could be laid on the passengers.
You're annoying me. I'm getting someone else to sit in the car with me. Honest to God, I am.
When Karen reaches the halfway point,
Ed.
she realizes the only place wide enough to pass Henrietta is here. But Alan wants Karen to push Henrietta back where she came from.
Go, go.
I'm not running into the car.
Go.
No! I'm supposed to be courteous.
Jeez, we were here first. Where the are you going?
Spooked, Karen drives way too far forward.
Where are you going?
Actually, I don't know because I've knocked everything down here.
For reasons known only to Karen, she advances all the way to the middle of the 8. It's getting ugly in both vehicles.
Did you just call me stupid?
Get out of the car.
I hope they have another hotel room available tonight.
Oh, yeah, right.
Doesn't make any sense to me.
I'm now officially not talking to you. Look.
At the low point of the 8, the drivers cross paths.
There you go.
We did it!
But the passengers won't celebrate.
Get going. Come on, let's go.
Stop it! Just stop it! Nobody put you in charge of this.
I'm in charge.
You have to wonder, is the bad driving causing the stress, or is the stress causing the bad driving?
You yell out one number, and I want a divorce.
Oh, shut up.
Enough! It's time to get these people out of their vehicles and find out why the men aren't being more supportive.
Are you ready?
Divorce City.
Yeah, they don't listen.
You know what women are like.
Do you want to drive with your husband?
No.
Henrietta, you want to drive with your husband?
Not really.
I'm not saying I still wouldn't run over things, but I wouldn't have somebody calling me stupid.
So, I eject the men and wish the women luck.
We don't need luck. We don't have them in the car anymore. Estrogen. Okay, I can do this. I'm no stupid.
For a while, things proceed calmly. But the men can't handle that. Karen's husband starts barking orders at Henrietta.
You gotta back into this one.
I know where I'm going.
Cut the other way.
While Henrietta fights off Alan's testosterone,
Stop.
Alan's wife gets herself trapped by a bad parking job. At least Karen is finished.
No.
It takes another 7 minutes of chauvinism
Judas Priest.
before Henrietta gets done.
Hey, whoa.
I need a tranquilizer. You don't have to tranquilizer.
Yes, I do have some nerve pills. Would you like one?
Well, we've reached the end of our second episode here at Canada's Worst Driver, which means someone is about to get back their keys and drive home. Henrietta, you know it's not you, don't you?
Yes.
Yes. Well, that's all I really have to say to you, yeah.
Their next challenge will be driving in a straight line.
Are you nervous?
Henrietta shows us how it's done. She drives along the platform, across the yellow line,
Now, where's reverse?
and back again. On her return, though, Henrietta can't go in a straight line. She needs to repeatedly readjust her vehicle.
That's all that was to that one.
The next challenge for Canada's worst drivers is to do a controlled skid on our command. In a very, very straight line, of course. Not like this guy.
This challenge will test reaction time and teach the importance of staying in your own lane even while skidding. To let Canada's worst drivers know exactly when to slam on their brakes,
They will be alerted to an emergency that is symbolized by this red light and by the voice of our driving instructor, Scott Marshall, who will say the all-important word stop at the last possible second. When, Scott?
Stop.
You didn't tell me it was going to be that close.
Henrietta owns some fairly strong prescription glasses, but she doesn't wear them when she drives.
Oh my, it's wobbly.
Wonder if Scott got danger pay for this one.
Steady.
When the red light comes on, instead of hitting the brake, Henrietta makes a prediction.
I'll never do it. It didn't break.
Bad reaction time.
It seems like he came awful close for me to get the brake on.
Henrietta generously decides to return our car to the starting line.
Oh, yeah, we're knocking them all down.
Let's just talk about common sense here briefly. Don't drive away. You got stuff on your hood.
Even with her bad vision, Henrietta can see this problem.
I got boxes.
Anyone who rushes to pack a vehicle for the summer vacation always winds up wishing they had taken their time. That's because if you just toss things in at random, well, the sleeping bag almost inevitably ends up causing a blind spot. And if you're in an accident, the contents of a loosely packed car can end up flying around like missiles. The next challenge for Canada's worst drivers is to pack up the family station wagon and hit, not the highway, but one of our infamous educational courses. The goal of this challenge is to simply get out of this quaint country camp spot. And if they've made too big of a blind spot when they pack the vehicle, they won't be able to do it. From here, it's a straight shot down this road. What's that? we have one of these idiot road ragers behind us. Let the idiot be an idiot, who cares? Because the end point is right here, except, oh dear, here comes an ambulance.
Suddenly, driving well is as serious as a heart attack. Every year in Canada, 6,000 emergency vehicles are in accidents with drivers who should have cleared the way. Keeping composure under this stress is critical.
Now, on a country road like this, an ambulance has the right of way, and now I'm sandwiched between my idiot road rager and the ambulance. As soon as he's gone, I'm putting it back in drive.
From here, all that's left to do is return down the road, park, and...
they're done.
Henrietta's about to start, but she can't see the latch that opens the wagon.
Do you know where that is?
No.
So she piles her cargo on the back seat all the way to the roof.
Get in.
That's against the law to pile it up like that.
Well, it's a $110 fine in most of Canada for no clear view.
Henrietta never has a clear view. When we gave Henrietta an eye exam last episode, her result was 20/100.
I can't make it out, honestly.
That means what Henrietta can make out from 20 meters, most people can see from 100. Driving through the woods,
Piece of cake.
Henrietta doesn't see her left turn. When we send her back,
I'm sweating like a dog.
Henrietta misses the turn again.
I go that way.
Poor Henrietta can't see the forest for the trees.
I thought we just backed out of here.
When the ambulance appears,
Hey, get over, get over.
Henrietta tries to hold her ground.
She completely blocked the ambulance. That's a disaster.
Then Henrietta needs an emergency response vehicle of her own.
It's stuck. Wasn't Andy's fault this time, it was mine. They'll need a tow truck, I think.
It's easy to forget that getting gas is actually extremely dangerous. Pulling up at the pumps requires maneuvering talent and patience. Two things our students have very little of. Let's hope this next challenge doesn't have an explosive ending.
Welcome to Canada's worst gas station. Your next challenge is simply to get gas.
The purpose of this challenge is to test our drivers' parking ability and their etiquette. Our gas station has two entrances, here and here. Someone will end up running on fumes because we only have 6 pumps, but 7 drivers.
And before this even begins, I want to remind you that getting gas is a mission. It is not a contest. It is not a race.
And with that, everyone races to their vehicles.
Start your engine!
3 of our pumps are already being used. The people with the best chance of getting the remaining 3 pumps are the drivers on the outside edge.
Get gas!
At the other entrance, Henrietta's also causing a jam.
I'm not going to be able to make the turn.
Yeah, back up then, back up.
So, Henrietta backs up, without looking.
Stop! Whoa.
No one can get to this pump, though, because Henrietta is still blocking the entrance. And Henrietta finally gets lined up to enter the gas station.
You got a pump right over there. If you can get in there, you got a pump there.
Henrietta's going for that slot.
Hurry up. Go, 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 go.
Henrietta, you're done.
Scott can't move. He's been wedged in by Henrietta and Karen.
Well, is somebody going to help him out?
I'm not taking my gas out of there and moving. You guys will run me over if I do.
Finally, Henrietta does the honorable thing and backs up.
Good thing that she left her gas cap open, because a 12-year-old wouldn't do that.
Nearsighted Henrietta is still so focused on backing up, she doesn't see that Scott's already moved to the garage.
Oh, hey, what's this?
When Eric sees what's happening, he wants to steal Henrietta's pump.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, these guys are... What's he doing? You, no, Michael, get out of here.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Isn't that your spot, Henrietta?
That's right.
You better work this out with Michael because now he's in your spot.
Michael,
Yes?
you have to back up again. I have to go back in there.
Ah.
Oh, good grief.
The first of this episode's 3 challenges will demonstrate how delicately the nominees can brake and accelerate.
The water tank test is designed to teach our students the importance of smooth, fluid driving. The pipes that leave this tank drain out directly on the heads of this vehicle's occupants.
If they get the water sloshing like they did last year,
I love it, Mom.
This will be a lesson of torture.
To show it can be done, I'll run the course first. If you lock up on the brakes, that water will all slosh. So, ignore the honking moron. But watch this guy. When our drivers get through this frustrating section of rims, they reach our frightened pedestrian and arrive at our turnaround point where I pulse on the gas and pay the price. When this construction worker lets our drivers into a lane of cars,
The tightest part of the course.
they are one turn away from the simulated garage.
And that is the water tank challenge.
Henrietta is the first to get sloshed. Our oldest nominee starts off perfectly,
Don't start yelling now.
but perfection erodes when the road rager steals her focus.
Don't do that. Take it easy.
How do I turn the wipers on here?
Henrietta can barely see where she's going with a clean windshield. Her eyesight is 2100.
Oh, I hit that one.
That means what most people can see clearly from 10 meters,
You're gonna hit one.
Henrietta can only see from 2.
I don't know where I gotta go.
Henrietta owns glasses,
I'm hitting the mobile.
but she never wears them while driving.
You're supposed to be watching
Well, I'm
for
watching.
me.
My God, I can't. I'm just drowned.
Henrietta doesn't see the signs of her vision crisis.
Oh, my.
Can I go?
Yeah, stop right slow, please. Really slow, really slow.
I knocked a couple of things over.
Henrietta hit 7 obstacles and sloshed 300 of her 500 liters of water.
When I get home, I'm taking my license and I'm chopping them up and I'm never going to drive again.
The Driver Rehabilitation Center this year is bunkered down at Canadian Forces Base Borden, a massive military training facility that has all the trappings of a small town. The next challenge for Canada's worst drivers is to cruise around Borden following their speed limits and our directions.
Henrietta's the last person to receive my directions.
Everybody else I made write out of these directions. I'm giving you our actual list.
Good, I don't have any glasses.
Wait, if Henrietta's sight is so bad she can't read a list, how is it that she's able to drive?
I'm just a little bit concerned before we start. When I handed you that list, you said that you didn't have your glasses on.
I don't need them for driving.
If Henrietta doesn't need her glasses, she should easily make her third turn between these 2 tanks. But Henrietta can't see the massive armored vehicles or the real road.
No, this is a parking lot. Okay, I think we made a mistake here.
Andy manages to convince Henrietta to turn back.
Now what am I going to do?
Okay, keep going here until we find the 2 tanks.
Is he kidding?
I'm lost.
Go left between the 2 tanks.
Yes, Andrew. I understand.
Don't get mad at me. I'm trying to help.
It's too late for that. Henrietta's already mad.
I'm going to go left right into the building. Right in there.
That's right there. No, we can't go that way.
Henrietta gets through the tanks,
Right here.
then gets stuck on the roundabout.
Here.
We can't be doing it right.
I got to do something.
Henrietta plays exit roulette and picks the wrong one.
We must be way off course here.
After 4 minutes of pointless driving, Andy convinces Henrietta to head back to the roundabout,
I'm going to lose it.
where she starts going loopy.
Where do I go?
This is the first exit.
I'm going around this
Just
way.
relax for a minute.
I can't stop in the middle of the road, Andy.
No, just...
Oh! Drive me nuts.
Maybe he should be driving her van. When Henrietta makes it to the dirt road,
Oh, Andy.
Oh, just back up.
she wants nothing to do with it.
I hate this.
So she goes somewhere else and refuses to try again.
Just did that.
Okay, well, let's go back and do that again. Back up. Back
Do
up.
what?
Take that dirt road.
You son of a...
Henrietta does wish she had her glasses, but only her reading glasses.
Get some kind of glasses I could wear and do my own navigating.
How wide can your vehicle safely swerve if it's traveling 60 kilometers an hour? Do you have any idea? What if the road is wet? Or if it's made of gravel? Or even mud? The next challenge for Canada's worst drivers is to swerve and avoid on a variety of different road surfaces. There'll be some braking too.
This is a 3-stage challenge. Drivers will have to skid and swerve on sloppy mud, dry gravel, and asphalt covered in a mysterious substance.
Mud and gravel is similar to what we'd find in some snow or icy conditions.
So up to 60.
Going 60k an hour on wet dirt, you can make an ugly but safe turn within 9 meters. The trick is to skid in a straight line until you've slowed down enough for the vehicle to get traction. On mud, that means dropping your speed down to at least 20k an hour before releasing the brake and steering back to the open road. To handle a sharp turn on dry gravel, you can't be going faster than 15 kilometers an hour. Drivers will hit these stones going 40, so they'll have to do a 9-meter-long skid before easing off on the brake and steering to safety. The final chapter of this challenge is to come around a blind corner at 30 and then stop before hitting this hidden wall of boxes. Whew. Henrietta's next. When Henrietta attacks the mud course, she skids straight through without even trying to regain control.
Not much swerving.
Henrietta never released the brake. When Henrietta takes her charge at the gravel, she's driving so slowly, her skid stops her before she even reaches the turn. So she stomps on the gas and loses control again.
Oh, jeepers.
Jeepers indeed. Swinging into the blind turn, Henrietta doesn't have the courage to go 30. By the time she rounds the corner, she's already finished. When Colin leaves, he makes a phone call and gets busted by some of our stealth surveillance devices.
He was bragging that he was kind of faking them. There's a good chance that we'll be here, the two of us, fighting it out to see really who is the worst driver.
At our last graduation ceremony,
you, sir, are expelled.
The biggest troublemaker we've ever dealt with got his car key back. But not until we cut it in half.
I cut that key off, I thought I was going to pass out.
He needed to be put in his place, and you guys dropped a bombshell on him.
With Colin gone, the remaining drivers are just a few wrong turns away from being in the final episode.
I have a feeling that I am going to be Canada's worst driver.
If you find yourself in a sticky driving situation, getting out of it usually requires some tight turns and a little finesse on the gas and brake. Maneuvering. It's something drivers do every day if they're in a parking lot or at a gas station or on a muddy island surrounded by a moat. We call this challenge the Dirty Circle.
Drivers start by reversing through a section of oil drums and farm equipment. Then they come down this driveway and onto the Dirty Circle.
The goal is to do an entire 360 without falling in the drink.
The trick to doing this as a 6-point turn is always cutting through the middle of the circle, creating a pattern like this.
Oh, now I'm getting off course. I'm not going anywhere near the middle.
This is the end of turn number 5. I'm gonna go right to the edge of the moat.
Oh, can I make it in 6?
No, I can't.
That's 7, and that's 8.
I didn't do it perfectly.
But you know, don't get flustered, don't get frustrated, just do it. And that is the Dirty Circle Challenge.
It took me 5 minutes and 2 turns too many. Henrietta's the first to handle our 4-wheel drive truck.
Oh my God.
Henrietta starts
Am I hitting it?
You hit the barrel on this side.
by hitting almost every obstacle on Andy's side.
Did I hit it?
2 minutes in, she's doing okay if you consider hitting 5 things already okay.
Henrietta has bad vision, so
I'm smashing it!
she wants her husband to watch where she's going.
Put your head out the window!
I'm gonna get my head knocked off.
Henrietta owns glasses, but says she doesn't need to wear them while driving.
What's behind me on this side? Am I okay?
Henrietta's wheels are pointing to the right. She'll be okay if she straightens out.
Cut it your way. Cut it your way.
Henrietta backs up, continuously cutting the wheel.
If she keeps on going like that, she's going in the drink. You're going in, Henrietta. And you're in.
I'm going to tip.
Go on in and see what happens.
Ah! It's going to tip! It's going to tip! It's going to tip!
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's going to turn over!
Give it some gas and get out of there.
Ah! I can't do that!
What?
Where am I supposed to go?
Put it in reverse and back. See what happens.
Stop right there. That is why we tell drivers never to blindly follow the orders of their passengers.
Put it in reverse and back. See what happens.
What happens is disastrous.
Walk right on it. Hard as you can.
Yeah, get me stuck, man.
The road was too narrow for the truck.
Road was too narrow for the driver.
Yeah, I think so, because I'm a lousy backer-upper.
You got 3 men on their knees for you.
We came prepared for this, but Henrietta's not prepared for this.
Ow! Breaking my wrists. Oh.
Apparently, we're not fully prepared either. Henrietta's not budging.
How come I got in the ditch?
Trucks are toys to men, so now the water guy's helping out. And he smartly uses a short length of chain, creating a steep angle, lifting Henrietta up as well as forward. When Henrietta clambers out, she celebrates by rear-ending the Good Samaritan.
Well, I don't.
Henrietta, please don't tell me you didn't see that big water truck in front of you.
I seen it. They were stopped too fast.
Once Henrietta is guided into the dirty circle,
cut really this way and then really that way.
She turns this way and that way a really large amount of times.
Whoa. Now crank the wheel again. Whoa, not too much.
Henrietta knows where the moat is, but she has no idea how close her wheels are to it.
Cut them hard left.
Back on the driveway, Andy becomes handy.
Your way, turn your way.
And Henrietta's hands tremble.
I'm shaking.
Spinning around took Henrietta 32 turns, and the entire exercise lasted almost an hour.
I wish I could come back and see the rest of them, see if they put it in the ditch.
You want to? Yeah, let's do it. That's a good idea.
Jody was going to do this challenge with her husband. Instead, Henrietta's her partner.
Oh, Henrietta's helping her out. This should be fun.
The blind leading the blind.
In the truck, Jody's straining with her seatbelt.
Ow.
You right?
Yeah, I just pulled something.
You okay?
Yeah.
Henrietta pulled something too. She pulled the muffler clean off this vehicle.
Turn this way. This way.
When Canada's worst drivers are in the passenger seat,
Cut it a little more now.
they know how to avoid objects.
Okay, you stop and go ahead a wee little bit.
As Jody's passenger, Henrietta's already offered up 68 pieces of good advice.
Cut right.
More?
Yeah. Hard.
After 11 minutes, Jody's made it to the driveway.
Keep back and straight, perfectly straight. Straight.
So the way I have my wheels now.
Henrietta talks Jody as far back as she can possibly go.
Okay, whoa.
You're good on this side. Yeah. Perfect. Woohoo!
Well, not perfect. Jody took almost 17 minutes, and she needed 16 turns.
Most people like to get their driving done before the sun goes down. But motoring in the dark can become a necessity at the worst of times. The next challenge for our hapless motorists is
A nighttime scavenger hunt. This is what you're gonna go buy.
Participants will send a postcard from the town of Angus, find Utopia, get a flag, buy a pizza, and grab a loot bag. Because this is a navigational challenge,
The nominators will be driving.
I love it.
Buckle up.
All right, what we didn't tell these poor people is that every single one of their cars has a flat tire.
We got a flat tire.
Who's got a flat tire?
changing the flat takes 12 minutes for Henrietta. Finding the post office isn't tough for Henrietta. Sean makes it tougher by not following the directions.
Yeah, go in there. Trust me.
In there, Sean runs into Henrietta.
He said the post office was across the road. That doesn't look like a post office.
And learns he's slower than an old lady.
It's across the road, so.
I found the post office already.
Yeah, I'm a little out of order.
Can you tell me where this is?
Henrietta gets directions to Utopia, the name of a local crossroads.
You go down about 6 blocks.
Good directions lead Henrietta to Utopia.
This is the Utopia you're driving. This is where you'd like to come to drive to.
That's
Henrietta picks up her flag and is the first one to order pizza.
I'm supposed to be ordering a party-sized pizza.
Henrietta gets her pizza. Sean's not the only lost soul.
We're at the Highway 400 again.
Henrietta grabs her loot bag.
Hey, Henrietta!
Henrietta finishes in just under 4 hours.
A Canadian driver's license allows you to operate a motor vehicle in dozens of countries, like England, for example. But do Canada's worst drivers know how to take a British car on a leisurely drive away from Heathrow Airport? For their next challenge, our students are going to try and replicate just such an event by driving this car on the left-hand side of the road. Now, of course, it has a right-hand side steering wheel, and just for full authenticity, it's got a stick shift.
To show his skill, let's compare his wrong side stick shift drive with mine.
Ooh, and Quite a sticky shift it is.
We both start off smoothly, but the steering isn't so smooth.
Holy crap. You don't have to drive this vehicle far before you realize it's manual everything.
After the roundabout, we both gear up.
Gear up to third?
I think third's fine for this road.
Nice cruise around the English countryside.
If drivers follow their instincts and veer to the right, they'll have a head-on collision.
Oh, that scared me.
Both Sean and I have owned manual vehicles before, so this drive isn't as challenging for us as it will be for the others. When he did our water tank test, Sean made up this excuse for a sudden stop.
I had to. Small animal ran out in front of me.
That lie inspired this. The bionic turkey. Sean and I both stopped for the delicious bird.
Whoa, hi, little turkey. Didn't know you lived in England.
When a honking moron appears, I ignore him.
Me, I don't care if there's a road rager behind.
At the end of this narrow lane, a Camaro cuts us off.
Uh-oh.
So, we both reverse, but stop again at this red light. When it turns green, drivers have to hit the gas and pop the clutch before rolling backwards into the guy behind them. I make it with about 30 centimeters of rollback. From there, we both make it over the hill, past the roundabout, and into the parking zone. Henrietta has driven a stick shift before.
Yeah, when I was about 19.
In her lesson, Henrietta starts smoothly and repeatedly in both forward and reverse.
I did good.
Yeah. And on the course, she takes off perfectly.
Look at that.
But goes quickly off course.
I'm sorry.
And gets rattled.
Oh, I can't do this. Oh. I'm getting sick of this.
By the time she gets to the turkey crossing, Henrietta's on a rampage.
Oh, there's a goose or something there.
Oh, she destroyed the turkey.
Did I hit him?
Yeah, you hit him.
Oh, I hit him. Is that in first?
It's in neutral.
Yeah, but I'm going in the ditch again.
After falling into a ditch this morning,
It's gonna tip! It's gonna tip!
Henrietta thinks she's about to flip over.
I'm gonna roll! Oh, help me out of here! I can't.
Just a minute.
Help me! I can't do this.
Our head instructor, Scott, steps in to calm Henrietta down.
But I'm gonna roll it.
Scott puts the vehicle in gear.
Oh, I'm gonna roll it.
A lot of gas.
And coaches Henrietta into going. Just when Henrietta gets going smoothly, she sees a ghost.
Ah! The turkey is out there again!
This time, she runs over it for sport.
Whoa. Okay.
Oh, God darn it. Oh! I can't push the clutch in and put it in gear at the same time. I'm too short.
30 seconds ago, she wasn't too short.
I can't do this. I can't reach that and hold the pedal in, too.
Walk on it hard. No. Shh, don't be swearing.
Let go of it.
All right, you put it in there.
Here.
Here. Relax, it's only... Relax.
Henrietta can't relax because...
Because it's a stupid truck.
Hey, don't...
I don't care. I don't want to do any more of those challenges.
Don't be swearing. That's all right.
Why is it doing this?
Give it lots of gas. Lots of gas.
Yeah, right. You. Lots of gas. I got my foot on the brake
Yes,
and that. I can't do that.
Oh. Hard. No. The gas doesn't work if the clutch is doing. It's going forward anyway. Go.
It's not going.
When this never say die trooper does get going...
Oh, watch, Jeff. Okay, go.
All she wants to do is stay going.
No, hard right. No.
I'm not going right. I'm going this way. I don't know where it is, and I'm not turning anywhere.
Relax.
Leave me alone.
This road leads to the traffic light, so we'll let Henrietta continue.
Hard.
You son of a...
Really hard. There. Keep it.
See?
Not fast though. Make hard. Keep at it.
For this attempt, Henrietta wants total silence. But Andy just feels compelled to help.
Hard.
You, why don't you get over here and do it then?
Stop yelling at me like
Well,
that.
then
There's
stop
no
it.
need of that. You're acting like...
Yes, and what are you acting like?
There's no need
You're
of
not
it.
my coach. Shut up.
Relax. Just relax.
Shut up. Tell me that again.
When she gets to the traffic light, Henrietta discovers someone is behind her.
What was that?
That was the same car she's about to slam into again.
He's behind me. See?
And again.
Jesus!
Back up.
Can you back up, mister? Back up!
We've seen Henrietta back into a lot of things.
Hey!
But this takes the cake.
Jesus Murphy! I want out of this Jeep.
Once again, she's getting so emotional, it's affecting her judgment. It affects how she drives.
I'm staying right here. And I'm not doing nothing else.
In the end, Henrietta did finish, but it took 39 minutes and she stalled 33 times.
Every time I do this, I frig it up. Am I ever going to go home?
It's time for the experts and I to decide which of the 5 remaining nominees for the title of Canada's Worst Driver will get to go home as our next graduate, and which of them will have to stay behind for our penultimate show.
Who are we going to graduate this episode?
Well, I can first of all say it's not going to be Henrietta.
She's not improving. She's stalled out.
Cam, are you comfortable to say that Henrietta's not graduating this week?
Absolutely.
People come to the Driver Rehabilitation Center for different reasons. Henrietta, you came here to gain some skill. Putting our students into extreme situations forces them to understand what a vehicle can tolerate. It also teaches them that as a driver, they can overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles. The next challenge for Canada's worst drivers is to take that powerful four-wheel drive machine on a hair-raising trip around the sand dunes of Ontario. You did know there's a desert here, right? All right, this is the off-road challenge. It's going to be a bumpy ride, folks.
This is Sergeant Dan Andrews.
You have to read the terrain ahead.
Sergeant Andrews is a veteran sand dune driver.
And this is where you don't want to make any sharp turns to the left or to the right.
This is more than a 45-degree down.
So he'll accompany all the bad drivers to make sure no one rolls over.
Holy smokes.
Conquering this course requires confidence. If you don't think you're going to make it up and down these hills, you're not going to make it.
Seeing where you're going, understanding your location, understanding what the terrain is, this is all relevant to normal street driving, yeah?
Yes, it is, exactly.
The Desert Driving Challenge ends with the course's steepest drop.
And this is where you might want to inch over.
Just inch over this?
Yeah, just inch over.
I get out of line and put the brake to the floor, which is the wrong thing to do. Without proper guidance.
Take your foot off the brake.
My foot? Yes, sir.
Off the brake.
I could roll over. You can't steer back to safety with your foot on the brake.
And that is, the off-road challenge. Let's see how Canada's worst drivers do in the sand.
Henrietta will be the first person through this course. Driving frightens Henrietta.
I'm nervous.
And when Henrietta gets nervous, she screams with terror.
Oh my God, I can't go down over there.
Going to the right. Keep it going to the right. Right. Stop. No.
As Henrietta learns what she's capable of,
Oh my God, up the hill.
we're reminded of what she's incapable of.
No, around, up this way, up this way.
I can't even see.
It's a wonder she can hear.
Oh, who's down there?
Henrietta begins every challenge trying her hardest. But when things get stressful and she starts performing badly,
I'm getting sick of this.
she often declares the challenge is stupid.
This is ridiculous. I don't care. I don't want to do any more of those challenges.
Henrietta hasn't declared this one stupid yet,
Oh my Jesus.
but she has reached the steepest climb she's ever attempted in her life. On her way to the top, she lets off on the gas.
Oh, what am I going to do now?
If we have to rescue Henrietta,
They'll need a tow truck, I think.
it'll be the third time we've had to pull her free.
Oh, what am I going to do now?
She should go the way gravity is pulling her, backwards. Instead,
It's stuck. Don't tell me I got this vehicle stuck too. I can't even open the door.
See what you've done?
Yeah, it's just
bottomed
laying on
out.
the bottom.
Yeah. What do you think you should do? At this point.
I think I should quit.
When the truck gets free,
Don't go too far, because I might need you again.
Henrietta gets back behind the wheel.
Are we ready?
This time, Henrietta makes it all the way to the part where she starts doubting the merits of the exercise.
This is ridiculous.
Okay, keep going left.
From here on in, every hill is tackled with a scream that could shatter glass, and every flat section is ransacked.
Oh my God, I'm gonna hit it!
Henrietta has no real control of the vehicle.
I can't do this anymore!
Yes, you can.
When she rattles her way to the final hill,
Where am I going now?
she goes over the top in predictable fashion.
I can't do this!
Yes, you can. You can do it. That's it, right here. That's
Am I
it.
done?
On this course, Henrietta screamed 47 times. To see how these bad motorists think, we're going to make them drive the next challenge verbally.
Blindfold yourself, my friend.
My friend is Al Zarofsky from Young Drivers of Canada. We'll show you how it's done.
Here we go. I'm in control of the car. He's just doing what I say. Give it a bit of gas.
Driving without touching the wheel reveals if a person in trouble is more inclined to steer,
More to my side, more to my side, more to my side,
or brake.
And stop. I didn't tell you to go, so just wait. Okay, give it a little bit of gas. This next part of the course is a straightaway. We're actually going to ask Canada's worst drivers to go 40 kilometers an hour. Are you going to be able to do that without soiling yourself, Al?
Yeah.
Okay. Quicker acceleration is better because we want to get to 40 as fast as possible.
Okay.
So go now, sir. Put it down. That's good. A little bit your way. And we hit 40. Slow down. My way. That's perfect. We did it. Go ahead.
From there, keep going until the half-hour time limit runs out,
That's good.
or until you run out of space.
And brake. And that is the blindfold challenge. We didn't hit a single thing. How will Canada's worst drivers do?
Henrietta's next.
Keep going. Oops, step on it.
Step on it.
Left, left, left.
Henrietta flies through the early parts, never once giving the order to stop.
Left.
Telepathically, though, Andy makes frequent stops.
Straight.
After 40 years of marriage, he can read her mind. Sometimes.
Go left. Oh, go left.
Left, I'm going left.
All right, go right.
Stop right there, please, Henrietta. This is the section where you must go 40 kilometers an hour.
I'm just getting out to check the wheel. Just a minute.
Wicked.
Henrietta has a plan, but it doesn't include steering.
Keep it straight.
Yeah.
Okay, go.
To the left.
To the left. Oh.
Stop. Tell him to stop. Stop.
Okay, you're in the ditch.
Henrietta forgot to brake.
I'm in the ditch. How did Jesus did I get in the ditch?
Andy went into the ditch because stopping doesn't cross Henrietta's mind until she's out of control.
Wow, disaster.
That was scary.
Thank God for seatbelts.
Can I back out?
Back up hard and go very slow.
When she's back on the road, Henrietta hits this parked car, this pylon, and that stack of rims,
I don't think I'm supposed to hit that.
before wedging herself in between these two vehicles.
What am I hitting?
Yeah, it's the cars. You're hitting
Well, I guess I'm hitting them, but what side am I hitting?
both sides.
Both sides?
You're right in the middle of it now. Okay. You're scratching it.
Oh, I hate that sound.
As time runs out, Henrietta rushes.
To the left. If you could see those barrels, you would left.
Henrietta's starting to have her meltdown.
Hard right. Hard right.
I got it hard as it goes.
Henrietta hit 36 obstacles and ran out of time.
You did bad.
Sandra, I did not do bad.
For their next set of challenges, we've prepared individual tasks. Our stunt driving virgins, Michael, Henrietta, and Jody, will all learn the art of doing donuts. We'll start with the stunt driving. Juliana shows us how it's done.
The first thing I'm going to do is actually a burnout.
Putting one foot on the brake and the other on the gas makes the tires on this rear-wheel drive Camaro spin and burn. Juliana releases the brake and cranks the steering wheel hard left.
Nice. Control.
A recipe for donuts.
Do another one. Okay, release. Your back end starts coming out and aim for where you want to go. Perfect. Couldn't do it any better.
Can Henrietta do it any better?
Okay, Henrietta, have you ever done a standing burnout?
The kids call that burning rubber.
It's going to be about controlling when you're out of control.
Henrietta has the brake on.
Press that throttle as hard as you can. Good. See it? Feel that? Feel that, sister? Keep doing it. Look at there. Oh, look at that. Awesome. Do you feel that?
Yeah.
You just did your first ever burnout.
That's it.
That's it. Do it some more. Let's see it some more.
Doing donuts teaches drivers how to get into a serious fishtail and then how to get out of one. To stop spinning, turn the wheel into the fishtail. Will it be awesome for Henrietta?
Oh my God, I'm so nervous.
Henrietta pulses hard on the gas and then whips out something that looks, well, more like an eclair than a donut.
Pedal to metal, keep turning.
Henrietta floors it again, but she doesn't steer clear after her third 360. When she's done her fourth donut, she does steer into the fishtail and into a pylon. But Henrietta's too hopped up on adrenaline to care.
Whew, that was pretty cool.
Do you feel more in control of the car now?
Yes, I have a better idea now. I know why the teenagers do it.
Henrietta did some bitch and burns, but she's done laying rubber.
Once in a lifetime, you know?
We're down to the last challenge before choosing the finalists for Canada's worst driver.
While driving on Canadian highways, you always need to be ready to avoid an obstacle. After all, cars and trucks on their way to the cottage can accidentally drop all kinds of cargo. So, the next challenge for Canada's worst drivers is
to drive at 70 kilometers an hour while avoiding the litter we drop in front of them.
The key to passing this test is thinking outside the box.
To make sure the drivers don't simply slam on the brakes, this car will travel close behind.
And when they start tossing the boxes, our driving instructor, Scott Marshall, says not to look at the box, look at the opening.
I look mesmerized.
Ooh, this is by far the scariest one we've done. Yikes!
Slow down, you're about to
down now.
The truck goes to the right, which means I
merge to the left and pull up. Woo! That gets the adrenaline running.
Good job.
And I'm a decent driver. How's it going to be for Canada's worst drivers?
On my run, I nailed one box. Some of them are just unavoidable. Henrietta's first to do the speed slalom.
Closer.
But when she tries getting up to 70...
Get up, a little bit more speed, more speed, more speed.
She barely makes it to 50.
Don't be afraid. Get your speed up.
Henrietta can't do it, but she is willing to give it another shot.
Don't be afraid of the boxes.
This time,
we gotta hit 70.
Henrietta accelerates, but so slowly...
More gas, more gas, more gas.
...that by the time she makes it to 70...
You're at 70. Keep going. A little bit closer, a little bit closer. Keep going.
The dumping truck is 50 meters ahead of her, and she still hits boxes dead center.
Oh, where you looking? She didn't even dodge it.
Her slow takeoff also means the white car is now right on her bumper.
Bang. I don't think she even knows the Crown Vic's behind her.
Okay, I want you to veer to the left. Go left.
Henrietta makes it safely off the road. Henrietta had one failed run and hit a total of 4 boxes.
You paying attention to everything around you?
Yes, I did, yes.
How about the car behind you?
I never see no car behind me. Was there a car behind me?
We're just moments away from naming the final candidates for Canada's worst driver. All of the nominees believe they will graduate tonight.
And I think they're going to say, you got your keys, here you go, when I'm going.
The experts and I deliberate and agree Henrietta's not going.
She's a disaster, and her wall of frustration is so impenetrable when it goes up that I think that's her biggest flaw.
The 3 remaining nominees for the title of Canada's worst driver all rely far too heavily on the talents of their passenger. So, for their first challenge in this all-important final episode, the person riding shotgun with them won't be their nominator. Instead, our bad drivers will be shuttling each other backwards and forwards through one of our winding courses. Did I mention they'll be hauling a trailer? To succeed at this challenge, Canada's worst drivers will have to keep their cool. What is crucial when pulling a trailer is to take all turns as wide as possible. When they get to here, they need to reverse into that campsite. I've got the trailer straight now. It's just a matter of reversing. The key to going backwards in a straight line is to constantly check the wing mirrors. And if the trailer juts out to the left, turn the wheel to the left and it'll straighten. Woohoo! I'm getting off course there now, though. I have to go forward and reline just a hair. Ooh, another foot. That's it. I'm in.
I took just over 6 minutes and needed 2 attempts at reversing. Henrietta gets out to give Shannon some elbow room and to provide directions from a different viewpoint.
So turn it left a little bit.
Why this is so hard, I have no clue.
Right straight back.
Is this straight?
That is straight.
straight. Go slow, though.
Henrietta, I'm gonna cry.
Slow now, come on.
Why is it turning like that?
That's girl, come on, you're coming, come on.
Henrietta, would you be so kind as to get out?
Okay, keep going, you're good.
Henrietta coaches Michael past the tree.
You gotta come in around this way.
But when he's ready to reverse,
Yeah, okay, Michael, keep going.
she tells him to go forward another 20 meters.
Well, that's good. Now start backing up. It's jackknife and you have to straighten it out.
But Michael has no room to straighten out.
Just go into the tree. You're not in the right place, Michael.
I can tell that.
What way was he turning the wheels that time?
He was going this way. I asked him to go this way, but
Now they're discussing which way you should turn the wheels to get the trailer to go to the left.
Henrietta leads the horse to water,
He's getting it. Tell him he's getting it.
but can't make him drink.
Whoa, whoa.
Henrietta's the last driver to park the trailer. She doesn't succeed in her first 4 attempts.
I don't think it's possible to do this quickly.
Doing it slowly is hard on the ego and the body.
It's going to jackknife.
Looking over his shoulder for an hour has left Michael in pain. Under Shannon's watchful eye,
Am I going to clear that board?
yeah.
Henrietta hits a sign, a tree, and a log.
Oh, I'm sorry. Michael, do you want to try to do this?
All right.
Because I suck at this.
Forward. Forward. Forward.
Don't put me way down in the bush.
Forward.
Breathe.
Trailer to Shannon's side. Trailer to Shannon's side. Shannon's side.
I'm not Shannon's side. Is not making it go that.
No.
Trailer to left slightly.
Okay, turn.
Oh, I thought you were yelling at me. Oh, I'm stuck on something.
All right.
Sorry.
Okay, straighten up. Forward.
Smells like it's burning wood.
Reverse. Reverse.
Yes, it's reverse, Michael.
Henrietta's almost out of time,
I'm going to go real fast, so watch out.
and she's almost out of patience.
Oh, Michael, thank you. Whatever you're digging out there, that's great.
You have 3 minutes.
That's right, it's minute 57.
Stop.
58.
Hard to Shannon's side.
59.
Straight back. Stop. You're in.
Woohoo! Woohoo! Good stuff, I did it.
Henrietta needed 42 attempts, but she succeeded in 59 minutes.
It's time to take the intensity to a whole new level. So far, Canada's worst drivers have endured 19 challenges, each one designed to teach a specific lesson. For their final exam here at our rehabilitation center, Shannon, Michael, and Henrietta will each rip through that massive course behind me that's been fiendishly but lovingly created to see if they've learned those lessons. It's all up in the air right now, but soon we will know the identity of Canada's worst driver. The student's first instruction, there we go, is to put the hammer down and peel off in a blaze of rubber. Their goal is to get up to 60 kilometers an hour before they get to those pylons.
To do that, they have to floor it the whole way.
I come around here and jack it right back up to 60.
Then I have to hold 60 until my front bumper reaches these stop signs.
Right there.
Perfect. Then it's a tight forward drive and an even tighter reverse.
Keeping your cool here is going to be crucial.
Then it's back up to 60 and through the eye of the needle.
Whoa, and then we slow right down.
Then it's onto a dirt road, through a maze of cars, and onto the final slalom, which leads to a patch of dirt being guarded by my mother.
There's my mother! If they do it right, they'll stop just 2 feet in front of my mother.
Henrietta will be the last through the mega challenge. Go. Henrietta starts off by going a little too fast for her own liking.
Molly, the brakes are touchy, aren't they?
On the first straightaway, though, Henrietta's grateful for the stopping power.
Right on the money. You pulled it off.
In the forward section, though, Henrietta's lost.
Now where do I go?
You're gonna back through that series of cages behind us.
Oh, watch it from this side, too.
You gotta realize your front swings the other way a little bit.
I'm caught on something.
And he helps by moving the rim 4 centimeters.
But you're gonna hit it there in the front, though. Okay, you
That's
gotta
why I asked you to move it. You're supposed to be helping me.
slowly.
Whoa, I hit it.
That's not all she hits.
Oh.
Speeding up to thread the needle, Henrietta drifts right off the road. On the dirt road, the drifting doesn't stop. Pulling into the parked cars, Henrietta pulls into a parked car.
Whoa.
See, I'm rubbing it, see?
Yeah. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle, whoa. Okay.
I hate you instructing me what to do. See?
Hard right again and back that way.
See, I hate when you help me.
Okay, just...
You're friggin' screw me up every time.
All right, take it on your own, take it on your own.
You do, or you tell me something and it isn't right.
You don't always have to do it.
I guess I'm gonna be the worst driver because I can't do this. There it goes. I knew this would happen.
Henrietta charges through the darkness, saying one of her favorite phrases.
I can't do this.
But she does do the slalom just fine, and she finishes safely. Henrietta took 21 minutes, and she hit 37 objects. Compared with the others, it's hard to say who was the worst. It's time for the real thing. Driving in downtown Toronto. For their final exam, Canada's worst drivers will show us what they've learned by making their way through Hogtown. On these famously hostile streets, they'll steer around a 27-kilometer route involving 32 turns and a mind-boggling array of big city lights, buildings, signs, streetcars, bicyclists, and pedestrians. On top of that, there's thousands of other bad drivers to contend with. Which of our nominees will be able to handle Canada's worst traffic? And which of them will crash and burn, earning the title Canada's Worst Driver? Personally, I'm hoping they all drive like champions because I'm gonna be in the car with them. And it's not just any car, it's this car.
Cool car.
We picked this vehicle for its tight maneuverability and its high safety rating. Next to drive through Toronto is Henrietta.
I'm terrified to death. My knees are just knock. I'm scared I'm gonna hit somebody.
Andy gets into the chase vehicle, and Henrietta gets going.
Very good.
Are you nervous?
When Henrietta asks,
Are you nervous? Andy, are you nervous?
what she really means is she's nervous.
I'm nervous. I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous. Oh, say a few prayers. Yeah, take a deep breath. I gotta take a deep breath.
In Toronto, Henrietta makes a correct turn, then pulls up for an amber light, but goes too far.
All right, you got into the crosswalk here, hey?
I see that, yes.
When Henrietta tries to go
left on Wellington Street,
the array of options confuse her.
I don't know where to go here. Do I go over there?
She doesn't like driving in traffic at all, so she's really, really nervous.
Even though she has plenty of opportunities to turn, Henrietta waits. And waits. Until...
It's red light.
Go, go, go. You're in the middle of an intersection. Don't stay there. You're doing well. Just hold it together. Right on Yonge Street. All right, that's good. Except you were in the through lane.
This jaywalker is in the opposite lane, but Henrietta slows down for him.
Yes, because I seen him coming, but he was coming across there and I didn't want to hit him.
Now Henrietta's missing her left turn onto Edward Street.
Okay, that was Edward Street right there.
No,
that's
please,
the turn you missed.
Why
yep.
didn't you tell me?
Trying to decide what to do, Henrietta slows down to walking speed.
You got a green light in front of you and you're holding up traffic on one of the busiest streets in Canada.
I'm sorry.
To get back so she can try again, Henrietta makes 2 left turns.
This is ridiculous.
Turning left requires crossing a lane of oncoming traffic. For that reason, it's usually not allowed in big cities during peak traffic times, like now, or in the afternoon.
Look up, Henrietta, look up. You're right up there, Henrietta. It says no left turn, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Well, it's not 7 p.m.
Whoa, that's a red light. We're turning left on a red light. Get out of here. Go, 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 go. Get out of here. Go, go, go.
All the cops will get me.
There's the cop right there, and he let us go.
She'd be almost out of points now.
Henrietta makes it back to Yonge Street, but...
This also says no left turn. I'm not going to let you do it here.
Well, I don't know how I'm going to get back there.
Henrietta drives aimlessly forward.
I don't know how I'm going to get back there.
Unable to make a plan.
I don't know how to get back there.
I'll make you a deal.
I promise to get Henrietta back on track.
I told you to be a wild ride with me.
It's okay. I like wildness. Okay.
Okay, what's wrong now?
Well, one thing is you're into the lane of oncoming traffic. You see this yellow line in front of us? That symbolizes the middle of the road. You don't want to be on the left of that line.
Look, that cop is watching me.
Yes, he is. That's that same cop we've impressed before with
Oh, Andrew, I want to quit this.
Saying she wants to quit is something Henrietta does a lot.
I think I should quit. Let me go.
I want out of this Jeep.
I hate this.
I want to quit this right now.
But Henrietta never quits, even when she said this.
I'm staying right here. I'm not doing nothing else.
Henrietta still went on to finish. So today, I encourage her to continue, and she does.
Look at this. What's going on here?
This is Toronto. There's jaywalkers, there's cars all over, there's unmarked intersections.
At the next intersection, a cabbie sneaks through the stale orange light by cutting in front of Henrietta.
Oh, look at that. Yes, I see it now. It's too late. I was watching that cab go across there. I know it's awful. I'm doing awful. I can't help it.
I'm trying to stay positive, but Henrietta smells my nervousness.
He's scared.
All right.
Henrietta's back on track, so it's up to her to follow basic directions again. When she gets to the
right on Queen's Park Crescent,
I'm not allowed to tell her she's in the wrong lane.
But she got her left signal on for it.
Henrietta pulls into the crosswalk and sees the light turn orange.
Can I back up?
But she doesn't see the no left turn sign. When the light turns green,
don't turn left, Henrietta.
I can't bear to let her turn left.
Right on Queen's Park Crescent is right there. Make it. You're presently going north on Queen's Park Crescent. I want you to follow it around, going southbound. Okay? Okay? Henrietta? Did you hear the instruction? I want you to follow it around, going southbound.
Henrietta isn't looking for signs. She isn't changing lanes. She isn't even acknowledging she heard me. Is she all right? Almost halfway through her final road test, Henrietta stops responding.
Okay? Henrietta? Did you hear the instruction?
Left lane, get in the left lane, Henrietta.
Henrietta doesn't change lanes and misses her turn.
Southbound, so you need to go back that way.
Andrew, I want to stop this.
Don't stop. I don't want to see Andy show a quitter, so you're going to do a U-turn as soon as this guy passes you. Give it. All the wheel you got. Well done.
With a successful U-turn, Henrietta's back on track.
You're going to finish this and you're going to succeed.
Ever since we've known Henrietta, she's needed encouragement to finish.
I'll never do this.
I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this anymore.
Sometimes it even seems as though she's kidding.
I can't do this.
Today, though, Henrietta's not kidding.
I can't do this.
You're okay, Henry. We're going to pull over then as soon as you want. You pull over as soon as you want. Take the first right when you get out of here. Turn right here. We're going to get off of this and we're going to stop.
Henrietta stops to wait for traffic, but when it moves, she doesn't.
I can't do this.
It's okay. Just creep it forward and we're going to get off the road. You're totally fine, Henrietta. You've shown great courage. It's all right.
Henrietta concentrates and does make it safely around the corner. But even parked, she's still unsafe.
What you doing? What you doing?
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Let's just sit. Just sit, Henrietta. You're okay. You want to get in here, Andy?
Okay. Relax. It's all over. It's all over. You want to get out and get some air? You did your best. That's all I can ask for. Do your best, right? Okay?
Henrietta's best move was deciding to pull over.
Whew, well, there's that done.
Oh my God, I can laugh now. It's not funny when you're behind that wheel.
For Henrietta, driving has never been fun.
Since the first time I ever got behind the wheel, I despise driving.
Really, your whole life you never liked it?
I despise it. I hate driving.
Everyone was bad. But who is Canada's worst driver? The decision will be made at the rehab center.
I am going to be Canada's worst driver.
It's Judgment Day.
The challenge here is going to be not naming everybody Canada's worst driver. I've already changed my mind half a dozen times. Scott Marshall.
Toss-up between Henrietta and Michael, but I'm going to go with Henrietta. Henrietta is suffering from more driver problems. She can't physically operate a vehicle. She makes more mental errors. She gets frustrated.
Jesus Murphy!
She gets angry.
There's no question Henrietta is terrible.
Marcus, jump in.
Although Michael is really horrible, I think that Henrietta is even worse, and I think she's a walking time bomb. I don't think she should be driving, period.
This title comes with a lot of complex baggage. I don't want to give it to the wrong person because they have to wear it. This is their real lives.
We take a moment, then give our final vote.
Michael. Henrietta.
Henrietta.
Michael.
You have the tiebreaker.
Again.
I don't want to look either of these people in the eye and tell them they're Canada's worst driver.
They are nice people, Andrew.
But it's time for them to face the music.
It's come to this. Someone is about to be awarded this hideous trophy. Michael, Henrietta, we spent hours debating which of you is Canada's worst driver. Now, it's time for the announcement, which brings us to Toronto. Henrietta, you quit that challenge before you even made it halfway through. Michael, you, on the other hand, attacked the Toronto challenge head-on. So, which one of you deserves to have this sculpture shackled to your driving resume? Canada's worst driver is Henrietta.
Wow, Michael, you're off the hook.
Henrietta?
Yes.
I'm sorry, it's not personal, but you really are Canada's worst driver. That means you don't graduate, you don't get your keys back, but you get taken home in this really sweet ride.
Whoa, that's worth it. Woohoo! I like that. Do I get to get in there?
Of course, get in.
Henrietta is officially crowned Canada's worst driver.
Henrietta, look, you forgot this.
Canada's worst driver came here thinking she'd just have a laugh. Instead,
no laughing, right?
She had the worst run in almost every challenge we organized. No one in rehab hit more things. No one
Jesus!
caused more financial damage. And no one refused responsibility more often.
It's not my fault, stop it. The road was too narrow for the truck. The navigator was terrible. I hate you instructing me what to do. See? You want to go in the ditch? That's where you're putting me. Yeah, get me stuck. You're friggin' screwing me up every time. Right, I thought you were trying to trick me. They're trying to give me a trick. You got me again.
This is a lesson, it's not a trick.
It's not the driver, it's the car. Because it's a stupid truck.
Henrietta now realizes exactly how bad she is.
I do deserve to be Canada's worst driver.
But she wants to keep on driving. So?
You're going to learn.
And I'm going to learn. I'm going to go and get driver's lessons.
Who knows? Maybe next year, Henrietta will be driving the limo.
One of those 9 people is Canada's worst driver ever.
Is it Henrietta, Canada's worst driver from season 2?
I want to quit this.
Before your rehabilitation can start, you're going to have to get yourself to the rehab center. And to do that, you just need to follow the directions that are in these envelopes.
This year, the Driver Rehabilitation Center is located once again in the Dunnville, Ontario airport. And to get there from where they are now should take the bad drivers a little over an hour. They'll have to go along a highway, through a tunnel, and across some train tracks. Back at the junkyard.
Let's get out of here, Henrietta.
Henrietta will be the next Canada's worst driver to hit the road.
Since being at the rehab center, any accidents?
No, none.
No?
No.
Why is that?
Because I don't drive. He does all the driving for me.
He is Andy, Henrietta's husband.
So is this like a life sentence for you, Andy, or what?
It is.
It's a life sentence.
It is a life sentence, yes.
When we first met this Maritimer, she often didn't see things as obvious as yellow center lines.
Oh, Andrew, I want to quit this.
These days, the only thing that seems different about Henrietta is her hair color.
Oh.
Just went through a stop sign.
Henrietta has driven almost 100 kilometers today, and that's the longest drive she's done in years.
Do you even want to get that back?
Yes, definitely. In the next 2 days.
The first challenge our Camaro will be used for is our annual assessment challenge. It starts with a simple reverse that goes around one bend through a hallway of rims. Then, drivers must get the vehicle turned around in this concrete area before they have to gear up to 50 kilometers an hour for a simple slalom run. And that's it. I'll show you how easy it is. The assessment challenge starts with a fairly simple short reverse. Using my side mirrors, I go straight back to the sharp turn in the road, where to get through cleanly, drivers have to slightly reposition themselves with an S-turn. Use your mirrors, folks. It's how you get around these tight spaces. Once I get through the rims and enter the concrete section, I have to get turned around. This is going to involve a little bit of inching back and forth, and back and forth inching is fine. In fact, it's the only way to get the car turned around in this confined space. Holy tight. Once I do get turned around, I head for the exit. And when I squeeze through it, yeah, baby, it's time for the slalom. Wow, this thing gets to 50 fast. There she is. Whoa. Light touch. Don't stare at the things you want to avoid. Stare at the space you want to go. And that is how you do that. Piece of cake. Yeah. Sometimes my job is fun. Before Henrietta begins, I ask her to count the obstacles she hits.
1. Son of a bee.
Then she hits a second one, which of course leads to
3.
Then it's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and just wait for it. 10.
How do you do this? How do you get that around there?
How can someone who drives every day not know how to reverse around a corner?
All the way to the right and as far as you can.
Before Henrietta comes unglued,
and now to your left.
I coach her through the corner.
Oh, gee, Andrew, you're a blessing.
Okay, just keep on slowly like that.
In the turnaround section,
oh, Andy.
Andy has to coach her through.
Keep going right.
And even with constant coaching,
Left hard, left.
Henrietta is clearly out of her element.
I can't do this.
You're almost through.
She can't do the 50K an hour slalom either. It turns out Henrietta came back to rehab because she's no longer a driver.
I wanted to learn more driving skills because I don't want to have to do all the driving, which I do right now.
Now it's time to hear what they have to say for themselves. What we're learning about Henrietta is that she doesn't really drive anymore.
So sometimes would you not drive in a month?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, quite often.
It's time to decide who will be the first Canada's Worst Driver Ever nominee to graduate and go home.
Well, I think Chris is obvious, but I think to stay focused, we should actually let Henrietta go, and I'll tell you why. I don't think she's really a driver anymore. Andy's retired, Andy's doing the driving, and I think we need to focus on the worst of the worst. I don't think she should graduate, but I think it's time we moved her on.
Disqualifying someone is not something we've ever done, but I tend to agree with you. I don't think she's a driver in our definition of what a driver is. Philippe?
Well, I was going to say Chris, but, you know, I like your point of view.
Well, this is a special episode, too. Like, we've got to really focus here on the worst driver ever.
Ever, yeah.
Well, I see your point with Henrietta for the amount of driving that she's doing.
And 2, to disqualify Henrietta. Here at the Driver Rehabilitation Center, we usually graduate someone at the end of every episode. But this year, it's not going to work like that. Henrietta?
Yes.
You're not Canada's worst driver ever, but you're also not a graduate of the rehab center. I am, though, going to give you your driver's license back.
Okay.
And tell you you're free to go.
Oh, thank you, Andrew.
No problem. First to leave this year.
Good stuff. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
I did not expect that.
I did not expect to learn that Henrietta doesn't drive.
When we visited her a few weeks ago in PEI, she failed to mention that she drives less than 100 kilometers a year.
I wouldn't walk across the road in front of me.
And for the rest of her life, Henrietta plans on driving even less.
For the most of it, Andy will do all the driving, and I'll just sit in the passenger side and enjoy it.
See you later, Henrietta. Take care.
Child.